Peace be upon you, sisters and brothers. My name is Aneelah Afzali, and I'm with the Muslim Association of Puget Sound, the American Muslim Empowerment Network, the Faith Action Network, and the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network. 1,400 years ago, in his final sermon, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab. A white has no superiority over a black. None have superiority over another except by piety and good action." Imagine if the world had heeded those prophetic words from the 7th century. The Quran teaches us that the first racist was Satan. He believed himself to be better than Adam because of his different physical composition. And what did God do? God banished Satan for this racist, arrogant view. And God tells us in the Quran, "O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes so that you may get to know each other, not that you may despise each other." Amen. So our diversity is a beautiful part of God's plan, while racism is from the devil. It is a disease of the heart that has infected society and our country from the very beginning. It is our country's original sin, as Jim Wallace says. And this sickness and sin, it continues to plague us today. 56 years after the March on Washington and Dr. King's iconic speech, we still have not achieved Dr. King's dream. Because we never repented or repaired as a nation. We never gave reparations for slavery, for Jim Crow, for the genocide of our Native siblings, and for so much more. And because our institutions remain infected, none of them, not the presidency, not the Supreme Court, not Congress, none of them will save us. It is up to us, me and you. We are the ones who must build movements that are multiracial, multi-faith, multi-generational, and push our institutions and our leaders to do the right thing. And that's what tonight is about. That's what tonight is about. Commemorating the March on Washington and reaffirming our commitment to moving forward until Black Lives Matter. Because if Black lives actually mattered in our country, then brown lives would also matter. Muslim lives would also matter. Women's rights would also matter. The true liberation of our Black sisters and brothers would bring about the liberation of all of us, Black, brown, and white, Muslim, Christian, and Jew, straight and LGBTQ, because all lives cannot matter until Black lives matter. I will also admit that I cried today because I remembered another anniversary. In 1955, a beautiful Black 14-year-old child, Emmett Till, was abducted, beaten, and shot, and his killers were acquitted by an all-white jury. I cried because today other children, whether Black, Native, Latinx, Muslim, or other, are still facing abduction, beatings, and killings because of racism. And in combating systems of racism and white supremacy, and not just individual races, we need affirmative action. Affirmative action is not about preferential treatment for minorities. It is about leveling the playing field and removing the preferential treatment that whites have received throughout history in our country. Because you cannot play a monopoly game with only one person allowed to buy property and collect 200 when passing go, while others get sent to jail. And after numerous rounds of accumulated wealth, finally changed the rules to allow others to also purchase property, and then demand others to stop complaining because, hey, we all have the right to buy property now. That is not a fair game. That is not a fair system. That is why we need systemic changes to achieve equality and justice, and not just equality in name only. And we also don't need a popular, sanitized version of Dr. King, who was not popular during his lifetime. Today we have those who praise King and celebrate Martin Luther King events, yet reject the very values and principles that Dr. King pursued, lived, and died for. Dr. King's platform was one of radical change that challenged the three evils of racism, poverty, and war. Not just a kumbaya version of let's just all get along and never talk about systemic change. We don't need that whitewashed version of King that is a mockery of him. We need a real commitment by our movement to combating racism, poverty, and the military-industrial complex, and standing firmly for justice for all, from America to Africa, the Carolinas to Kashmir, Palestine to Puerto Rico, and everywhere in between, because Dr. King himself said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And like the giants on whose shoulders we stand, we may be sick and tired of being sick and tired, but we cannot lose hope. We must continue the struggle today and every day until we achieve our vision, our mission. It is a blessing to be here together as we continue the struggle for Martin's dream, Malcolm's vision, Rosa's hope, and God's plan. Thank you very much.